My son's girlfriend, Jessica, was truly strange. Even before becoming my daughter-in-law, she seemed intent on tearing my family apart. She would constantly whisper to my young daughter, Lily, "Who is your father, really? Is your brother your father, right?" Later, my son Liam proposed to her, but she demanded that before marriage, he and Lily undergo a paternity test. "He's 20 years older than his sister," she declared. "Who's to say she's his sister and not his daughter?" Seeing her overbearing attitude, I refused to approve the marriage. But Liam, in tears, pleaded, "Mom, it's just a test, isn't it? Just one test. I can live without a sister, but I can't live without a wife." I looked at my son intently. Then a strange calmness washed over me. I looked at both of them, pointed to the door, and said, "You and her get out of my house." My husband and I brought gifts worth 10,000 yuan to my son's engagement proposal. Liam and Jessica had been dating for 2 years, and it was time to discuss marriage, so this proposal was quite a formal affair. In the bride-to-be's living room, 4 or 5 relatives were gathered, enjoying tea, pastries, and fruits. After some pleasantries, we quickly got to the point. Jessica's father rubbed his hands, smiling. "Our family isn't selling our daughter, but you two must bear the wedding expenses." I immediately interjected. "It's a joyful occasion for lovers to become family. I will transfer a 150 square meter, 3-bedroom apartment to Liam as their marital home. As for the betrothal gifts and the 3 golds, it will be a total of 500,000 yuan for your family to use as you see fit." I felt I had shown ample sincerity, following local customs. Seeing Jessica's parents nod continuously, they seemed overjoyed. This matter seemed settled. However, Liam's girlfriend suddenly cleared her throat and smiled. "Auntie, before I agree to marry him, I have one more condition." Before the proposal, my husband and I had discussed that if Jessica had any requests, we would try our best to accommodate them. After all, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event, and her wishes should be respected. I patiently asked Jessica, "Do you want a more luxurious hotel or to increase the betrothal gifts? Just tell me, if I can do it, I certainly won't refuse." Jessica seemed somewhat surprised by my generosity. She hesitated for a moment but then said softly, "My request won't cost much money, at most 3 to 5,000 yuan. I just want Liam and his sister to take a DNA test. I have one son and one daughter." The sister Jessica was referring to was my daughter, Lily. The atmosphere, which had been lively, suddenly became stiff. I frowned, showing just enough displeasure. "Jessica, we are discussing your and Liam's marriage. What does this have to do with his sister? Furthermore, what does it mean to ask a family member to take a DNA test for no reason? Only someone with a problem in their head would agree to this." As I spoke, I glanced at Jessica's relatives. Indeed, some of the elders' faces clearly showed agreement, and some even tugged at Jessica's sleeve from behind, as if urging her to settle down. It was clear this DNA test idea was her own. Yet, everyone's rejection had no effect. Jessica suddenly stood up, her face full of anger. "It's just a little blood, it's very simple. Why are you being so evasive, Auntie? Do you have something to hide? This is my only request. If you don't do it, I won't marry." Why was she so insistent on this paternity test? Had she discovered something? Or had Liam known something and was using her to make things difficult for me? My eyes unconsciously drifted towards Liam. He hung his head, silent, not saying a word, as if every single one of his girlfriend's words were sacred scripture. In that instant, hundreds of thoughts flashed through my mind, but no matter what, I would not let Jessica have her way. I took a deep breath and calmly said, "All right, then let both our families go to the hospital. Whatever tests I take, you and your parents will also take. After all, our country always upholds gender equality. If you can suspect me, then I also have the right to suspect you." Just as I predicted, her relatives immediately buzzed with commotion. A tall, crude young man stood up, impatiently shouting, "Auntie, my sister made a request. Why are you making demands too?" Marriage proposal, marriage proposal. Sincerity is what matters, and your family shows no sincerity at all. Judging by his way of addressing her, he seemed to be Jessica's cousin. I gave a cold laugh and shook my head. If you think I lack sincerity, then does Jessica have sincerity? What you don't want others to do to you, don't do to others. Didn't your elementary school teachers teach you that? The cousin was speechless. He reluctantly said, "This test cannot be done." "If this gets out, how will my aunt be able to hold her head up?" I burst out laughing, unable to maintain my composure. "Exactly. Randomly going for a paternity test doesn't sound good, does it? People can't laugh at your aunt, but they can laugh at me. Is my family inferior to yours, or is your sister made of gold?" At this point, the atmosphere was so tense it felt ready to explode. If the argument continued, this marriage would surely be called off. At this moment, Jessica's father stepped in to mediate. He raised his hand, signaling for everyone to be quiet. "Mrs. Lee, please don't misunderstand. My daughter doesn't mean to humiliate you. She's just. He couldn't find a suitable reason. Jessica, ever so blunt, immediately interjected, "I want to know if Lily is Liam's illegitimate daughter." Every single word in that sentence I understood, but put together, I found it utterly unbelievable. I vaguely looked at my husband, then at my son. My husband clearly understood. His face was flushed red like a pig's liver, but due to his gentle nature, he was still trying to suppress his anger. As for Liam, he shrunk his neck, avoiding my gaze. Jessica, however, continued triumphantly, "Liam is exactly 20 years older than Lily. Who knows if she's his daughter or his sister?" The preposterous suspicion in my heart was finally confirmed. I gritted my teeth. "Jessica, slandering someone is a legal offense. Your words not only insult my son but also hurt my daughter. Do you believe I'll sue you and send you to jail?" Jessica trembled slightly, seemingly a little scared, but she still maintained her reasonable demeanor. "My suspicions aren't unfounded. When Liam was in college, he had a girlfriend and they even lived together. Who knows, maybe that girl got pregnant accidentally, secretly gave birth, and sent the child to his family to raise. For fear of gossip, everyone might have lied and said she was your late-in-life daughter." Liam lived with a girlfriend in college? I froze for a moment, my heart beginning to pound erratically. Immediately, I grabbed Liam's ear and twisted it several times, each twist stronger than the last. "Liam, why did you never tell your mother about such a big thing?" Inside, I was both ashamed and furious. Ashamed that my son had secretly done such a disgraceful thing behind our backs, and furious that he let Jessica manipulate him. Liam's ear turned red, and he winced in pain but dared not resist. Jessica, perhaps still fond of him, leaned in close, inserting herself between us. Her tone finally softened a little. "Auntie, that's all in the past. I'm not someone who likes to dig up old dirt. I just want to confirm the blood relationship between Lily and Liam. If they truly are just siblings, I'm still willing to marry him." I suddenly let go of his ear. My mind became as clear as a mirror. So this is what she was waiting for. Thinking back now, Jessica truly was strange. The first time she came to our house, her gaze upon Lily was very complex. She once asked me, "Auntie, is it dangerous to have a daughter when you're over 40? Did Liam come back to take care of you then?" At the time, I just thought it was idle chatter and vaguely replied. Later, I even heard her secretly ask Lily, "Who is your dad?" "Is your brother your dad?" Lily was only 4 years old then. How could she understand these circuitous questions? Even I found them confusing. Unable to hold back, I asked Jessica, "What are you two talking about?" Jessica smiled and lightly tugged on Lily's braid. "Oh, I'm teaching her family titles. At this age, she should start learning them." Jessica was a preschool teacher, so I didn't think much of it. But I never imagined that even then, she had begun to suspect Lily's identity. I didn't understand. She had been dating Liam for 2 years, visited our house dozens of times. What kind of family were we? Didn't she know? If she had suspicions, why agree to marry? If she trusted our family, why make such a ridiculous demand? Anyway, I no longer wanted to discuss this marriage. Communicating with someone so senseless would only infuriate me. I stood up and walked straight to the door. "You can think whatever you want, but I'm not discussing this marriage anymore." I don't enjoy letting people slap me in the face. Seeing that I was truly about to leave, Jessica's father became a little anxious. He hurriedly raised a hand to stop me, trying to smooth things over with a smile. "Please don't leave so quickly, both of you. We are all parents. Let's try to understand each other. How about this? If, after the test, Liam and Lily are indeed biological siblings, we'll reduce the betrothal gifts by half. But if they're not, well, at this point, my daughter has set her mind on Liam and we won't call off the engagement. However, you'll have to provide 3 times the original betrothal gifts." Round and round we went. It was still a trap, forcing me to prove myself. I gave a cold laugh. 3 times isn't enough. At least 5 times. Jessica's father beamed. "Oh, Mrs. Lee, you don't have to be so generous," I replied indifferently, "but the number 250 suits your whole family better." Back home, I immediately opened my medicine box and swallowed a heart medication pill. Only then did my racing heart feel much more stable. I turned to see my husband, empty-handed. I couldn't help but reproach him. "Why didn't you remember to bring back the gifts we brought over?" My husband sighed. "As soon as we put them down, their family took them. There was nothing left to see." My heart grew even more irritated. Then call Liam and tell him to bring the gifts back. He's really getting worse by the day. Living with someone in college, he's lost his mind over a relationship. Jessica is getting more and more outrageous, and he doesn't say a word. Thinking of the unpleasant remarks at Jessica's house, I suddenly felt hurt, my eyes welling up. But I didn't cry because the bedroom door opened and my youngest daughter skipped in. She curiously asked me, "Mom, how did your discussion with Auntie go?" Lily, not yet 5, was always well-behaved and adorable, the treasure in my and my husband's hearts. She knew the adults were out doing important things today, so she obediently waited at home. I quickly adjusted my expression, hugged Lily, and smiled. "The main discussion isn't finished yet. Dad and I came home early to play with you." I didn't want her to know her brother had done something so infuriating. Because of this, I was even more angry with Liam. Angry that he let outsiders casually badmouth his own sister. Following my daily routine, I helped my daughter wash her face, brush her teeth, put her to bed, and coaxed her to sleep. But Liam still hadn't returned. Even though my husband urged him several times, it wasn't until midnight that he returned, head bowed and dejected. The fire of anger in my heart hadn't subsided. I only glanced at him, then remained silent. My husband, however, calmly called him over and spoke seriously. "Liam, your mother and I both understand that a daughter only marries once in her life. It's good to be cautious, but no matter how cautious, you cannot cross our family's boundaries. Jessica may not know Lily's true identity, but don't you understand? You are the bridge between our family and Jessica, and you have an even greater responsibility in communicating." Having said all he could from a father's heart, my son should have understood. Yet, Liam merely touched his nose and said in a low voice, "Dad, you're right. I am the bridge between you and Mom and Jessica. So, let me handle this. If you and Mom aren't willing to do a parent-child identification with Lily, then I can do a sibling DNA test. As long as the results prove that Lily and I are biological siblings, Jessica can rest assured, and you and Mom will have less to worry about." Under the light, Liam's gaze was resolute, but my heart skipped a beat. He even understood the difference between a paternity test and a sibling DNA test so clearly. Just how much had he secretly investigated? I jumped up, pointed directly at his nose, and shouted loudly, "Are you trying to make your mother die of anger? Jessica blatantly insulted your mother, insulted your sister, and you didn't say a word. And you even went to research how to do a DNA test. I've raised you for 25 years, and it's not even as good as raising a loyal dog." By this point, I was so furious my eyes were red. Liam looked at me, his face showing a hint of guilt, but he still lowered his head and said softly, "Mom, don't force me. It's just a test, isn't it? What's the harm in doing one? I can live without a sister, but I can't live without a wife." 25 years of family affection in this single moment all turned into a joke. A wave of dizziness washed over me, and I slumped onto the sofa, letting out a bitter laugh. "Fine, Liam, I'll be straightforward with you too. I can live without a son, but I must protect my daughter. If you insist on marrying Jessica, then I will cut off all financial support for you. The house, the car, the credit cards, everything will be revoked. From now on, never say you are my son again." My coldness stunned Liam a little. He abruptly looked up, angrily saying, "Mom, it would only cost a few thousand yuan for me to marry smoothly. Why won't you do it? Or do you fundamentally look down on Jessica, criticizing her low education and poor appearance, which is why you're trying every way to stop us?" I silently looked at Liam, a young man over 20 who, by rights, should have matured and left behind his naive college thoughts. Yet he seemed to be living in the clouds. His girlfriend maliciously speculated about his family, and all he could think of was how to marry her. I gritted my teeth and pointed towards the door. "Get out. Come back when you've thought things through. If you can't, then you don't need to come back at all." My reply was the sound of a door slamming shut, echoing through the house. I could imagine how angry Liam was. My husband and I sat opposite each other, neither of us saying a word. After a long time, he finally spoke, his voice low. "Actually, he's grown up. Why don't we just tell him the truth?" How could I not understand? No matter how well a secret is buried, it will eventually be revealed. But now was absolutely not the most opportune time to tell the truth. I thought for a moment, then slowly shook my head. Let's wait. Right now, he thinks Lily is his biological sister, and he's already so biased. If he knew the truth, who knows how he would treat her? My husband's expression also changed. But after all, he loved Liam and could only sigh repeatedly, hoping Liam would come to his senses soon. If he's willing to admit his mistake, he's still our son. We had underestimated Liam's stubbornness. For 6 days straight, he was completely out of touch. On the 7th day, a friend called me. "Sister-in-law, what's wrong with Liam? He's been absent from work for several days, and when we called to urge him, he said he was quitting. When we asked further, he said he needed to be with his girlfriend and had no time for work. Sister-in-law, please talk to him, don't let him be angry anymore." I immediately became furious. Liam was a premature baby, weak from birth. After graduating from university, he worked at an internet company for 2 years but couldn't handle the overtime, so he quit. A few years ago, my husband and his friends invested in a company specializing in auto parts. We arranged a position for him there. The salary wasn't as high as a big company, but the work was easy. Instinctively, I wanted to speak up for Liam, hoping my friend wouldn't be too hard on him. But he was 25 years old now. I no longer needed to clean up his messes. I told her, just follow what he said. Please handle it according to company regulations. If he deserves a pay cut, cut his pay. If he deserves to be fired, then fire him. Hanging up the phone, my heart was filled with bitterness. It seemed the son I had raised for 25 years was truly growing more distant from me. But as a mother, I had fulfilled my responsibilities. I didn't let myself wallow in sadness for too long, quickly returning to my daily routine, going to work, picking up my daughter, and taking care of the family as before. At first, Lily would still ask, "Where did Big Brother go? Why doesn't he come home to play with me?" Later, she stopped asking. But it was Liam who actively contacted me. Over the phone, he panted as if he couldn't believe it. "The company fired me, Mom. Why didn't you help me? Aren't you their biggest shareholder?" I thought he was calling to admit his mistake, but it turned out he was still questioning me. I gave a cold laugh. Being absent from work without reason will lead to termination. That's a rule of society. Does Mom need to teach you this? Liam took a deep breath. "Mom, you locked my credit cards and I didn't say anything. But to appease Jessica, I haven't been eating or sleeping well. How can I have the energy to go to work? Furthermore, Jessica isn't willing to marry me because you are too stubborn. Can't you show me a little compassion?" He was right. If I softened and conceded, Liam could marry smoothly. But why should I back down? So I decisively hung up the phone. I had more important things to worry about. For example, Lily was almost 5 and needed a beautiful dress for her birthday. My daughter and I spent an entire afternoon at the mall, buying several bags of accessories and snacks, but still couldn't find the perfect dress. In the end, we unexpectedly ran into someone else, Jessica. She glanced at the shopping bags in my hands, then looked at the dress Lily was trying on and gave a faint smile. "Auntie, Lily is still small and growing. Buying expensive clothes like this, she'll only wear them a few times before they're too small. It's such a waste." She was a preschool teacher and sometimes expressed her views on raising children, but this time I didn't humor her. I just calmly straightened a fold on Lily's dress. "How I raise my child is my business. You don't need to concern yourself." Jessica was stumped, but she wasn't discouraged. She pointed at a few outfits she was holding and smiled warmly. "Auntie, you have such good taste. Help me choose which one to buy." I knew exactly what she was scheming. In the past, whenever we went shopping together, if Jessica liked any clothes or shoes, I would pay for them, because I used to say that a daughter-in-law is also a daughter, and I would treat her the same way I treated Lily. The clothes in this store weren't cheap. Even a regular t-shirt cost over 1,000 yuan. Jessica's salary wasn't high, and I had cut Liam's credit cards, so she was actively trying to strike up a conversation with me, disregarding our previous animosity. But I no longer cared about my son, let alone a daughter-in-law. So, I completely ignored Jessica and took my daughter to the children's play area next door. However, when Lily emerged from the play area, her hair was tied in a different style. A bad premonition arose in my heart. I asked in a trembling voice, "Lily, who tied your hair?" It was indeed Jessica. Taking advantage of my distraction, Jessica had secretly called Lily aside. She was skilled with her hands and had helped Lily with her hair before, but this time I didn't believe she had good intentions. I immediately called Liam. "Jessica stole a lock of your sister's hair. What is she planning?" "Both you and I know perfectly well. Tell her to stop right now and apologize to me. Otherwise, I don't need a daughter-in-law like her because I won't recognize you as my son anymore." Once again, Liam disappointed me. He said impatiently, "Mom, why do you always assume the worst about Jessica? She clearly has good intentions." Jessica provoked my limits again and again, yet he pretended to be naive. It wasn't that he didn't recognize my anger, but that he thought I would indulge him. He was wrong. I didn't argue with him anymore but led my daughter downstairs to the locksmith shop and asked them to immediately change the locks to my house. Then I called another friend. Last time, I had asked for advice on how to gift real estate to my son. Now, I've changed my mind. I want to gift it to my daughter. No one can hurt my daughter. I will protect her well. As for Liam, he wants to take everything from me, so I can also make him lose everything. Lily's birthday party was a grand affair. More than 10 relatives and family friends were present. Lily, in her beautiful princess dress, pranced happily among the crowd, her face radiant with a smile. A relative asked me, "Isn't Liam here? What's he busy with these days?" I smiled. "My son is grown now, his heart isn't here anymore. I don't force him." The other person was perceptive enough not to ask further. The party was going smoothly. All the relatives present gave gifts to Lily. Finally, the server wheeled in a 14-inch birthday cake. My husband and I stood on either side, one helping Lily smooth her dress, the other holding her hand to cut the cake together. Just as the atmosphere was at its liveliest, the door to the private room was suddenly kicked open. Standing at the door was Liam with a look of displeasure. Behind him was Jessica with a complex smile. Before I could even react, my husband pulled Lily behind him and coldly shouted, "Liam, you've gone too far. Have you thrown all etiquette and propriety to the dogs? How dare you lose your temper in front of so many elders?" The surrounding relatives quickly stepped in to mediate. Now, it's Lily's birthday today. Don't make her sad." Liam's face flashed a strange expression, mockery, triumph, and even more resentment. Everyone wondered why Liam was so angry. I knew, because he had finally learned the truth I had kept hidden for all these years. He came today to pressure me, but how could I let him have his way? I smiled. "Liam, don't disturb your sister's birthday. Go back where you came from." Sure enough, Liam's face immediately darkened. He gritted his teeth, enunciating each word. "Sister? Mom, you're indifferent to your own biological son, but you wholeheartedly love someone else's child. Are you crazy?" His arrogant attitude made the relatives blanch. "Liam, what's wrong with you? Lily is your sister. What nonsense are you talking?" Liam's eyes widened, almost screaming. "I'm not talking nonsense. The DNA test results are in. If it weren't for Jessica, I might never have known the truth my whole life. Lily and I have no blood relationship whatsoever. She's not your child at all, so what right does she have to be sitting here?" The truth my husband and I had hidden for 25 years was now about to be exposed. The person personally tearing away those layers of concealment was precisely the one I wanted to protect most. Before this, I still held a sliver of faint hope, thinking Liam would value our more than 2 decades of bond, but in the end, he only disappointed me further. I hugged Lily tightly, still reeling, and gently kissed her forehead, soothing her. "Don't be afraid, Mom will take care of everything. You are my daughter and I will protect you." Lily instinctively nodded, gradually loosening her grip on my dress. After comforting her, I calmly turned to Liam. "You brought your girlfriend to ruin your sister's birthday party. Is it just to make our whole family uneasy? Go on, do you have any other objectives? Say it all out at once. All our relatives are here today, they've all witnessed your growth. They can help us judge." Liam and Jessica secretly glanced at each other. Perhaps they thought they had the upper hand in this conversation. They shuffled around and then sat down on nearby empty chairs, completely oblivious to the nearest relative subtly frowning and inching their chair away. Jessica forced a smile. "I said before, once the DNA test was done, I would marry Liam. So we just registered our marriage, Auntie." She awaited congratulations from the relatives, but all she received was a suffocating silence and a cold laugh from me. "I don't care if you marry Liam or not. It has nothing to do with me." A flicker of awkwardness crossed Jessica's face, but she quickly regained her smile. "I still have to inform you, Auntie. You only have one biological son, Liam. His marriage is a big event for you. There's so much to prepare, how can we not inform you?" "Prepare what? Just those things like the real estate and betrothal gifts I previously agreed to?" I replied coldly. "Jessica, you're a teacher, yet you can't understand common sense. I already said, if you dared to do a DNA test for Lily, I would not acknowledge Liam as my son, nor would I ever accept you as my daughter-in-law. Is there any word in what I said that you don't understand? Or do I need to buy you a dictionary to relearn?" Jessica was so choked up by my words that her face turned red. Liam, however, let out a cold snort, his voice dark. "It's done, Mom. What can you do? Is there any mother in this world who doesn't forgive her son? Furthermore, Lily isn't your biological child. I am your biological son. So even if you're displeased, you can't act on impulse and deny my marriage." I looked at him deeply. Although I had long known I had raised this child poorly, at this moment, my heart still ached with a sharp pain. I scanned the room, looking at the people around me, and gave a bitter laugh. My family's dirty laundry has made you all laugh. I had sworn long ago that whether a child was biological or not, once adopted, I would treat them with equal fairness. But I never imagined that the child I had painstakingly raised for over 2 decades would not only show no love for his sister, but also utter such cruel words to his parents. Your words today, worse than an animal's, further confirmed that my decision to be wary early on was absolutely correct. I looked directly at Liam, full of self-confidence, and at Jessica behind him, her eyes filled with calculation. A few days ago, I transferred the house I originally intended for you to Lily. I have also drawn up my will. All my assets have nothing to do with you, Liam. I don't need a son who disrespects his parents, so I invite you to leave now. As soon as I finished speaking, the two who had been so arrogant just moments before immediately stared wide-eyed. Liam trembled. Mom, you're leaving all your assets to Lily, not a single penny for me. He jumped up in agitation, turning to appeal to the relatives around him. Uncles, aunts, oh, everyone, please speak up for me. My mother is leaving the house to someone who isn't her biological child, while I, her son, get nothing. Is that fair? Is that reasonable? But the more he shouted, the more awkward the relatives' expressions became. Their eyes showed not just disappointment, but also pity. I braced my hands on the table, slowly stood up, and bowed towards an elder on my right, signaling him to speak. He was an old man with a flowing white beard, over 70 years old. He was Liam's uncle and the most respected person in the family. He sighed deeply, then nodded and said, "That's right, Liam. You and Lily have no blood relation. Everyone here knows that, because you are the son of my comrade in arms. 25 years ago, I entrusted you to your mother. She couldn't have children due to health issues, but she promised me she would treat you as her own flesh and blood." Liam stood frozen, his face pale, as if all the blood had drained from his body. Jessica was the first to lose her composure. She jumped up, her voice hurried. "Then where are Liam's biological parents? Is there anyone else in their family?" The uncle snorted coldly, clearly displeased by her attitude. "They both died in a car accident. He was still in diapers at the time. No one in the family wanted to raise him. They were going to send him to an orphanage. I couldn't bear it, so I brought him home." Jessica seemed speechless but still tried to cling to hope. "So, did they leave any assets? If so, why would this child need to be sent to strangers?" The uncle gave a cold laugh. "Everyone in the family knows this. We just kept it hidden from you for fear of you overthinking things, Liam. You're not our biological child, but your parents worried endlessly about you. And how do you treat them? After raising you for over 2 decades, you finally humiliate them right in front of so many people. Do you even feel worthy of being human?" The entire room fell into an eerie silence. Liam stood there, his hands clenched into fists, fingernails digging deep into his flesh. Jessica trembled, biting her lip, still refusing to give up. But hiding this so Liam never knew throughout his life, that's not fair to him either. This time, the uncle didn't need to speak up. Liam's cousins, aunts, and uncles one by one stood up, sparing no courtesy as they directly cursed her. "You haven't even entered the family and you're already trying to drive a wedge between mother and son? Don't you fear accumulating bad karma? This girl is worthless, and her heart is malicious. If you know what's good for you, get out quickly. Don't let people look down on you further. Go home and tell your parents you married at a loss. There's no house and no betrothal gifts." For the first few remarks, Jessica gritted her teeth and endured the humiliation. But by the last sentence, something must have struck a nerve because she suddenly burst into sobs. I married at a loss? Liam, say something. Quickly, apologize to your mother. She raised you for over 2 decades. Surely she still has feelings for you. I can't marry a man with nothing. If it wasn't for you, how many other men were pursuing me? Why would I choose you?" Her tears were genuine, but Liam looked like a man whose soul had been drained, not hearing a single word. His lips trembled as he repeatedly muttered, "I'm not her biological child. Lily is, I'm not her biological child. Lily is, I'm not her biological child," as if his spirit had been completely crushed. This was something I had anticipated. After all, he was the child I raised. I knew his personality very well. He was soft-hearted and tended to overthink. All these years, I had hidden the truth only to protect him. Unfortunately, he never cared about my struggles, so I can only say this is a consequence he brought upon himself. He caused a commotion at Lily's birthday party, thinking he could intimidate me, but he never expected that the one in the wrong was him. Liam suddenly looked up, staring at me as if clinging to a final thread of hope. Mom, this is fake, right? This test must be fake or Lily's hair wasn't real. You deliberately staged this to teach me a lesson, didn't you, Mom? I'll divorce Jessica right now. I blame myself for not seeing her malicious nature and for being weak and easily believing lies. Wait until I marry a daughter-in-law you approve of, then you'll forgive me, right? His eyes were red, as if tears could fall at any moment. But perhaps not every mother in this world forgives their children. At least I wasn't like that. I looked at Liam's trembling shoulders, then calmly averted my gaze. I gave you many chances not to hurt your family. If you had hesitated just once, today's events would not have happened. I once said that you and Lily are both my children and I treat you both equally, but you ignored my tolerance. Therefore, I will not forgive you. I paused for a moment, my voice growing heavier. Today, in front of all our relatives, the mother-son relationship between us ends here. This statement had to be uttered in front of all my important relatives to inflict the greatest possible damage. From today, Liam was no longer my son. He had lost the person who loved him most in this world, and he would no longer receive protection from my connections. The last light in Liam's eyes extinguished. He wanted to say something, but a crisp slap landed directly on his face. It was Jessica. She was crying as she slapped him. Liam, what are you saying? You're abandoning me because of your mother? Are you even a man? Do you have any responsibility? I looked at Jessica's aggrieved face and found it a little amusing. I lost a son who was once very close to me, and she lost a husband who loved her. Wasn't that perfectly fair? Oh, I almost forgot one thing. I needed to add it to make it truly fair. I chuckled softly. Jessica, when you suspected Lily's identity, I also began to suspect you. My youngest daughter being my son's illegitimate child? What kind of twisted mind would conjure such a ridiculous idea unless it had actually happened? A little investigation, and I had my answer. I watched Jessica's face change. She unconsciously looked at Liam, then back at me, trembling, her face full of pleading. Auntie, please don't say it. If you say it, my life is over. But why should I show mercy? She herself said it wasn't fair to keep Liam in the dark forever, so I would also tell him a secret so he would no longer be kept in the dark for life. I took out my phone, opened a photo, and held it in front of Liam. In the picture, Jessica, in her early 20s, was wearing a hospital gown, her face looking tired, but she was holding a baby, a gentle smile on her face. In her second year of university, Jessica took a temporary leave to give birth to a daughter, but her boyfriend refused to take responsibility and wouldn't marry her. The baby was left at the man's home with his grandparents. Afraid of gossip, they didn't dare acknowledge her as their granddaughter, only saying she was their youngest daughter. With each sentence I spoke, Liam's eyes darkened a little more, while Jessica was completely frozen in fear, unable to utter a single word in defense. I don't know who was the first to let out a contemptuous laugh, then the second. My maternal nephew even covered his mouth, bursting into laughter. No wonder she wanted to tarnish Lily's reputation. Turns out she herself isn't clean. His mother glared at him, warning, "Don't say such vulgar things." But the boy only laughed more mockingly. "She did it, why can't I say it?" The sarcastic remarks followed one after another, finally becoming the last straw that broke the camel's back. Liam suddenly reached out and grabbed Jessica's hair, intending to push her to the ground. "It's all your fault. What right do you have to humiliate me? And what right do you have to humiliate my sister? If it weren't for you, how could my mother abandon me?" So soon after marrying, they had become enemies. My decision not to congratulate them earlier was indeed correct. I signaled for everyone to stand up. "Let's go. This meal can't be enjoyed fully. I'll invite you all again another time." The relatives were also very understanding, unanimously saying they would come again. But a shrill wail suddenly echoed, making me stop. Jessica sat on the floor, crying hysterically, disregarding her image. "But I'm not willing. Why was my daughter abandoned at his house, abused and beaten, while his sister is pampered like a little princess, getting whatever she wants at home? They were clearly born in the same year. Why are their fates so different?" Jessica cried tragically, but I had no reaction whatsoever. Is this question so difficult to answer? Their fates are different because of their mothers. Jessica, first, learn how to be a human being, because looking at you now, you are truly lacking in many ways. I wasn't sure if she heard me. Anyway, she lunged at Liam, scratching him, this time cursing him. "Liam, you knew your sister wasn't your daughter. Why didn't you stop me? Even a slap would have been enough. Waiting until after we were married to reveal this, then your mother couldn't do anything to you anymore. After we were married, I couldn't do anything to them?" I turned my head to look at Jessica as if she were an idiot. "Anyway, I'll just ignore her. I just need to protect my daughter well. I don't care about other things. This drama was started by them. So, they deserve a broken, scattered ending. In the following months, he called us almost every day but couldn't get through. Occasionally, he would bring gifts home, but the locks had been changed and he couldn't get in. He asked relatives to intercede, but no one would help. I heard he even sought out his biological relatives, but they completely refused to acknowledge him. Liam placed his last hope in work, but his old company was no longer hiring. Having lost his family, his love, and his job, Liam blamed Jessica for everything and angrily filed for divorce. Ironically, shortly after the lawsuit was filed, the secret of Jessica's illegitimate child was also exposed. His ex-boyfriend's wife, along with the child, stood right at the entrance of the preschool where Jessica worked, asking everyone, "Is there a teacher named Chu here? I want to speak to her superiors to set things straight." That year, she got pregnant out of wedlock, had the child, and abandoned it. I didn't even bother to say anything then. But now, she's using the excuse of wanting to see her child to constantly harass my husband. Does she have any shame? In this small town, rumors spread quickly. Before long, Jessica couldn't stand the pressure and had no choice but to resign. But no matter how much they argued, she still refused to divorce him. This was tormenting herself, and also tormenting Liam, as if only by seeing the pain on his face would she feel a little relieved. The last time I heard about Jessica was when she and Liam argued on the highway. She actually grabbed the steering wheel, the car lost control and crashed into the guardrail. Both were seriously injured. The hospital called me. They asked if I wanted to visit. "Your son is very agitated and refuses treatment. He keeps calling for his mother." I gripped the receiver, turning to look at my daughter. My son's girlfriend, the one who caused all this, had tried to sow discord. Lily has been diligently practicing her phonics recently. I told the hospital, "I can't go. I have to take my daughter to school. You hurt my daughter, I won't hurt her." I kissed Lily's cheek, urging her, "Come on, read it again." Lily blinked her clear eyes and asked me, "Is it Big Brother?" My hand trembled slightly, but then I smiled gently. "No, it's just a harassing call. Lily, you're my only daughter. You don't have a big brother." A child's memory is easily replaced. If I told her she didn't have a big brother, then gradually she would forget him. Even if she didn't forget, it wouldn't matter. That day, he caused a scene at Lily's birthday party. I knew he would go crazy, but I didn't stop him beforehand. 1, to let the relatives clearly see his true colors and completely sever ties. 2, for Lily's sake. Under my intentional guidance, he and everyone else thought he wasn't my biological child, but Lily was. That was enough. I am Lily's mother. I will protect her from the day I adopted her.